Welcome to Ask the Accountant, the podcast that is made for you. Weekly podcast live Mondays from 8:30 a.m., released on the podcast service of your choice on Wednesdays. Your main weekly hosts, Aaron, Patrick, and Johann Gary. Got something to ask? Submit your questions below or ask during the show. Podcast loading. We are currently getting everything set up behind the scenes, so sit back, relax, and we will be with you in a few seconds. Enjoy.
Good morning, everyone, and a very good morning it is. Today is the 27th of February, and it's episode number 19 of Ask the Accountant, your weekly show presented by me and Johann. And with it, we go in, we talk about all of the news about accountancy going forward. Johann, how's your week been so far?
Morning, Aaron. Yeah, good week. Thank you very much. I'm just about recovered from the lack of sleep on Thursday and Friday after being in Leeds for a day. As we were just saying off air, it's not the drink or anything that breaks us anymore. It's the lack of sleep. I'm getting too old for this stuff. But yeah, I'm good. I've had a fantastic week. Some nice new client sign-ups, some various interesting things going on. So yeah, very good. How about yours?
Yeah, it was my birthday this week. So yeah,
it was.
I've had some birthday treats. So that's been awesome. Been spoiled. And yeah, it's just been a week of busy. Really, it's just been quite an eventful week. As always with the chat, with the QuickBooks. Wrong show. We've asked the accountant. You have the opportunity to ask some questions. I'm going to put that in the question box in now. And we've also got people here live. So, Paul, good morning. Hopefully, you're having a good time over your end. And no, unfortunately, not a new mic. It's just that I've had to change my setup a little bit so you can actually see it for once. So, I'm not sure I quite like it like this. Yeah, it feels a bit too too much in your face a little bit, doesn't it? Which is cool. All right, okay, let's go through then what we've got. Quite a jam-packed show for you today. So we're going to go and start us off with what to expect from QuickBooks Connect, because we've got less than a week to go. Oh, no, we haven't. Just over a week to go. Get it right. We've got some new features on QuickBooks Online to talk about, which might even mean I've got to reset my stream. So bear with me on that one. Rising corporation tax as well. That's under discussion at the moment. We'll talk about it. And before that, we got a review of the Yorkshire Accounting Award as well by Johann. So jam-packed at all, completely today. So what I'm going to do first of all, just a bit of a public service announcement for our 20th episode, and next week we're not going to be live at our normal time of Monday at 8:30 because, well, I don't know about you, Johan, but I'll be on a train. Well, in fact, I'll be in London at that point, ready to go over to QuickBooks HQ themselves. So we've got some logistical nightmares to kind of overcome next week. So we thought instead, why not have a special episode? So on the Wednesday at 8:30, so our normal time, we plan to be in person, don't we, Johan? So yeah, we're going to have an in-person event, I assume, covering what we learned at QuickBooks Connect.
Yeah, we do. It's I will also be on a train about 9 o'clock in the morning. It's a respectable train for me this time. I'm not normally on such a late train, am I? So not having to get up at 4:15 to get into London will be nice. But yeah, I'll be on the train during this show next week. So why not have a in-person, face-to-face, proper catch-up discussing not just all things QuickBooks, but all things conferencing from what we've experienced the day before. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great day. We've got lots and lots planned. And yeah, let's see if we've got enough energy to get us through that day and into a live podcast.
You never know. Might even get some special guests on there as well. We'll keep that open for people to come along, and it can be over a bacon cob. It's cob you're in, right? Yeah, that's right.
Roll.
No, it's definitely not a roll. If you go to a butcher now or to anyone asks for a sausage roll, what are you going to get? You've got it completely wrong. You've got to get that cob analogy in there. That's what it is. So, at least it's not a bomb cake. So there goes half our audience. Gone. Bye. Come back. But yeah, no, it's going to be a interesting week next week. So do join us on that Wednesday, where we get to talk about it in person for the first time. and go from there. And as a plug as well, if you listen to our other podcast, QuickBooks Labs, then we're actually going to be live from the event itself. So if you've got any interest, or you want to know what's been announced, or you've got any kind of curiosity and you're not going to be there in person, why not? We'll talk about it in a moment. But if you're not going to be there in person for whatever reason, then do join us for a live feedback on what we learn at the show itself. So yeah, and we're aiming to go live on the Tuesday, so the day of the event, at around about 2:30, 2:45, something like that. So yeah, that's going to be awesome. Right, let's go to our first topic of the day then. QuickBooks Connect. We've got some really exciting parts planned. As we said, we've got our podcast to do there, but we've got a jam-packed. We've got I mean, we've actually been given a time schedule been created for us so that we don't miss anything. So that's kind of a bit of a peek behind the scenes of what's going on. We've got a nice early start. We've got the morning program, 9 o'clock, where we expect some big announcements to be made. Maybe some of that you'll be able to talk about in a moment, Johann. I'm sure there's a few that we could tease going forward. And there's as well that we know has been released, which I imagine is going to get talked about as well. So we can talk about that one. And then we get a bit of an opportunity to have a bit of a mooch around and talk to all the vendors, which we absolutely love, don't we? Then you've got a session at 11 o'clock.
I have, yeah.
Insight into what's going to happen on that session.
Yeah, so in that session, we're talking about, I'm talking about how investing in basically investing in goodwill pays dividends, and how supporting your clients through an economic challenge gives you, all sorts of benefits in the long run. It might not result in a paycheck in your bank tomorrow, but trust me, I've got some facts and figures, and I've got some true life stories of how us helping our clients through a challenging time in the form of COVID has taught us a lot about the benefits of doing that and how we're going to maintain that going forwards.
Excellent. That'd be a good one, actually. And that's the sort of thing where, we were talking off air, weren't we? Where when we went to our first ever conferences, it's these sort of nuggets that completely change the way that you think about your practice, isn't it? So yeah, highly recommend looking at that one. Then we're going to 12:30, we're going to have a little dinner break. So that'll be good to finally actually talk to people and catch up with people at that point. And then I've got my session where we're going to be looking at QuickBooks efficiencies. So if you want to be looking at the best way to make efficiencies within your firm and using QuickBooks Online, then I've got you covered. And then 2:30, 2:45, we've got our QuickBooks Labs podcast going live. So that'll be interesting. And we'll get to basically talk about what we've learned so far. So what features have come out. And then you've got your second session, so rehash of the first session. So it was so good, you were booked twice. So that's
well, what can I say?
That's what we want to see. And then we finish the day, or the conference, shall I say, with a fireside chat with Mylene Class and Tom Kerridge, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a really interesting element. And then finally, we finish the day off with the after party, and that's when we'll be starting the hard part, really, because that's when we're going to be starting our interview sessions, and we've got some really good interviews lined up that we're going to release on socials throughout the coming weeks. So yeah, it's going to be exciting, isn't it? I mean, that's an absolute jam-packed schedule. The day before, we've also an event as well, aren't we? And the day after, we've got a day packed of we have cool friends. So yeah, 3 absolutely packed days. I think it's coming our way.
Put it this way, I'm looking forward to my 2 weeks off at the end of that week. So, it's going to be hard work, but I think it's going to be fantastic. Some of the content we're going to come out with is going to be brilliant. Someone asked me the other day, why is Tom Kerridge the key speaker? It's like, what relevance has he got to small businesses? But I don't think people realize Tom Kerridge's pedigree in business. They just see him as a chef. But he's a fantastic business owner, and I'm not sure how many people saw it. It might still be on iPlayer, but he actually did a series on iPlayer. It came out during COVID, where he went and supported like half a dozen pubs to increase their trade. And basically he was that business advisor that we as accountants are all told we should be. And we'll talk more about that later. But he was fantastic, and he went in, he gave them ideas, he helped them implement ideas, and then just as they were filming, COVID hit, and then they followed it up with how did these pubs respond to COVID, how did they support their community, etc. So yeah, he's a really interesting and innovative business owner, as well as a fantastic chef. So yeah, definitely lots of relevance.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well when you think back to all of the guest speakers we've had at past QuickBooks Connect. I mean, some of them were obvious, weren't they? When you had Lord Alan Sugar sat there, I mean, obviously you're going to learn quite a bit, aren't you? And that's always going to be quite an insight into how he's got to where he is. He's, if anyone's going to define business, it's going to be the person who started The Apprentice, isn't it? It's a great great one there. But then we had some really kind of left field ones. Actually, were really, like you said there, like really impactful and give you the opportunities to kind of understand. So I'm thinking like Gary Neville. I would never have seen him as a business person, but actually he came on with some great parts, didn't he? It was a really, really good session by him.
Yeah, he took, obviously he has a huge business like portfolio, shall we say, that he's invested into, because he knew football has a finite time period to it for a career. And then on top of that, he then went into how different coaching methods and attitudes and leadership within the changing room, as it were, can be implemented within business. And yeah, it was very interesting for him to talk about that transferable skill set that perhaps not everyone realizes there is.
Yeah, exactly. And what I really liked about him was the fact that, he knew from an early point of his footballing career how diversification was so important. And I think that's a great tool and a great point where a lot of businesses can learn, wasn't it? And then when you think the other speakers we've had, every one of them's just brought that little bit extra to it, which was awesome. I think the biggest shame for me was that the virtual conferences. So we had like Stephen Bartlett there, where I think in person that would have been an amazing conference, amazing talk, and amazing like one thing. I think being virtual, they didn't quite get the same hit, did it? And that's a shame.
No, I thought
Joshua as well, wasn't it? That was probably lost as well.
Yeah, a bit of a waste of a keynote speaker, and a fantastic keynote speaker in effect, because it wasn't in person. But yeah, no, I'm very excited to listen to Tom and get his insights. Yeah, I'm quite the fan.
Definitely. We had some more people coming in. So hello, Merlin. How are you doing? Hope you're having a good time. Paul's saying that the mic's difficult to hear me. Oh, I'll have to check that off camera. Sorry about that. I literally had to break down and rebuild myself this weekend. So yeah, not quite in the same professionalism as always. Andy's here. My God, Andy's up early. What's going on? Is there something going on out there? Great to see you there, Andy. Either of us attend the 2020 conference, asked Paul. Value and paid. Now, I must admit, the 2020 conference is one of those, I think it's a bit of a Marmite conference, if I'm completely honest. I know a lot of people who go there, and I know they get a lot of value from it. So I know if you're in that group and you're finding value from it, then please, have a look at it and go to it. But I think, if I'm completely honest, it feels like 2020 is kind of aimed at a certain type of accountant, and in the nicest possible way. I don't think that's I don't think me and Johann are those accountants that they're aiming for.
No.
So we're trying to do it as politically correct as I possibly can be. But pretty much. And in my opinion, Paul, I don't think you're the same accountant that they would really want there. But yeah, do have a think about it.
Yeah, it's like anything, isn't it? Every conference has got its ideal client, and whilst we might be the target audience for Accountex or Digital Accountancy Show or QuickBooks, we aren't the accounting types that potentially go to 2020. Everyone that goes, I hear fantastic things from, saying it's an amazing event, like so impactful, but it is more of my understanding is that it is a very heavy, detail orientated conference, where it is a learning and development session. There isn't the after parties and the chilled out vibes, as it were. It is very intense tax diving into policies and various explanations of different rule changes and stuff like that. So more of a technical conference than a general focus on the industry and the cloud accounting and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think as well, like, because they're so in that technical aspect, that there are very much a, they're going to be teaching certain accountants a whole new world.
Yeah.
But for other accountants, we're already maybe past that section, if it's a fair kind of a way of putting it. So yeah, it's very much an opportunity for your more traditional practice, if you like, to kind of look at new ways of doing things that we're already taking for granted. And I think that's kind of where it is. But it is a massive. I know, like, for one particular practice out there that talks about it and goes and would really highly recommend it. I know it's been an absolute change for them, but they're struggling to adapt to a digital world. So for them, it's the conference has been a lifesaver, because it's been an opportunity for them to do a kind of softly approach and kind of change things time. Not as piecemeal as you like, as we would do it, or wholesale, I should say.
The other analogy I've heard, explanation I've had about it is, you go to a Accountex and you walk away with 8 hours of CPD and you're not really sure you feel you've earned it. Whereas you go to their conference, you walk away with your CPD and you definitely know you've earned it.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy, to be honest. Brilliant. And then Paul also mentioned, love the Bruce Dickinson presentation. Would have been better to have him rock the stage, though. Yeah, exactly. I think that's it, isn't it? Those non-in-person events kind of wasted keynote speakers, weren't they, unfortunately? But yeah, we are back to in-person events, so that's what it's all about. Okay, cool. So I think TDLR is that if you're not going to QuickBooks Connect, why not? Because by the sounds of it, it's going to be a very, very exciting event. And as we've always said, if you see us walking around, then do say hi, and we'll be more than happy to kind of point in direction of who to speak to, when to speak to, and everything else. So yeah, looking forward to it going forward. Anything else on QuickBooks Connect, or have we taught that one to death?
No, I just think it's going to be a great event. I'm really looking forward to it. It's it is the kickoff to the conference season, so it gets us all going. So yeah, and just really excited to crack on, really.
Definitely. And good morning, Kirsty. Yep, we're looking forward to next week as well. Cannot wait. All right, so some new features have dropped on QuickBooks Online, which basically means that if they're dropping new features now and giving us the opportunity to talk about them, and we've got, I know you're dying to tell everyone about some features that was leaked, quote unquote, at your event you went to last week, then we are in for some good announcements at the event itself. Because if these are the ones that are public knowledge, then it's going to be quite a nice little breakdown as to what to think about. So I'm kind of hijacking the show a little bit now. Part of me thinks that should I redo the intro and do the QuickBooks Labs intro, but no, we're gonna stick with it. Basically, we've got so much to talk about during next QuickBooks Labs that these updates will not appear in there, but I can imagine. So what has been updated now? I really wanted to share my screen, but unfortunately, can't do that one without restarting the stream. So that's annoying. That's why we should check these things beforehand, going forward. Make sure we got right. But I can talk you through it. And also, there's a video going live tomorrow anyway on my channel. It's going to go through these in more detail. But ultimately, there is 3 key areas that have been updated on QuickBooks. And I think from what I can tell, it's on pretty much all of the QuickBooks files at this point in time. The first area, the one of most relevance for me, is the bills and expense section within QuickBooks Online. Now has a whole new workflow. And that workflow is designed to be able to integrate the receipt capture for much, much better than it's ever done before. So if anyone can kind of see QuickBooks and have a look at it, then you'll notice that there is now under the bill section, there's a whole new interface that's there. And that whole new interface is about being able to give you the opportunity to upload from computer or create bill or create a recurring bill. So the way I'm seeing this, and the way I think this is really impactful, is that if you are just doing kind of the bookkeeping side of things, or if that's your role, or if you've just got your task is to kind of go through your expenses and bookkeeping, then it's going to make that flow a lot better for you. It's going to be a much more meaningful way of doing it. It splits it between full review, unpaid, and paid, so you can see straight away if you've got any unpaid bills and deal with them accordingly. Maybe take a little download of that and send them to Cresco. That's a good example of how you could utilize that section. But the option there of being able to, or forcing through receipt captures, quite clever. Now, in the video, a bit of spoiler alert, I did a whole kind of test of how this system works. So the idea you could use, as it says, upload from computer. So maybe if you've got the PDF by email or something, it'll be a quick, easy way of doing it. If you've got a fancy way of getting PDFs onto your PC or put photos onto your PC or computer, then that's going to be an easy way of doing it as well. You can just quickly enhance that workflow and upload them directly from there. But also, if you use your mobile phone and you use receipt capture, I'm not sure how it's doing this, but it's cleverly deciding if it's a bill or a receipt. And it's going, if it's a bill, it's going to put it into this new section for you. So it's kind of working with existing technology and making things work, bringing it through. One slight criticism of this, and hopefully we can find someone to actually fix this issue at the moment, but it is very random in terms of what category it's assigning. The same old problem we've had with receipt capture for a while, where who knows where it's getting the information from for what category to put it to. But even if, in my example I show on the video, I upload a Virgin bill there and then, I've already said that Virgin should be telephone. I've even gone into Virgin in my QuickBooks file, gone to supply, and I've set that it should always be Virgin. That should be the category that's the preferred category for it, using that new drop down arrow we've got there. And unfortunately, it still went somewhere. I can't remember where it went to. We went to some random area every time I uploaded it. So there's a little bit of annoyance still there. So there's definitely a bit, hopefully, an opportunity to add some new features. Fingers crossed, maybe a rules solution would be absolutely amazing. But ultimately, it seems like a better way of bringing it in. Yeah, have you had to play around with it? Any kind of first reactions or anything to it?
Not had a huge play around with it yet, but I think it's a really positive step in the right direction. That's right. Every time we go to a QuickBooks event or a meeting or a session, like even in Leeds last week, it got brought up that receipt capture just isn't quite powerful enough for what we want or need out of a solution. It's not quite good enough for our practice yet. So yeah, hopefully this is a sign of where they're going and that it's going in the right direction. The fact that it can now handle bills is a big step forwards.
Yeah, and to be fair, it was handling bills before. It's just now it's got this new interface of bringing it in and better workflow, I think. And I think for me, like, I'll always come back to this. Like, yes, it's not, receipt capture is probably not at a stage where for every practice in the world they probably can rely and do it. I know you have some great stats to prove that Dex is absolutely doing it for you in terms of automation and saving you time and everything else. But I think from a client point of view, receipt capture is absolutely brilliant and absolutely perfect. And that's where, for me, I really do see the benefit of it. And it is that kind of, not having to ask a client to install another piece of software and things like that. And for the majority of clients, it's everything they need. This new feature here, I think, from a client's point of view, just gives us an opportunity to work with them in terms of a better workflow, like having almost like a task list of, right, just upload your bills there. Maybe we'll deal with them later. Don't worry about them for now, but let's get it into your workflow. Let's get in those bills up there. And if anything else, at least it's going to encourage them to actually put those attachments on and have those attachments there, and maybe even use the age creditors as how it should be done. Have a list of what's unpaid versus what's paid, instead of having a pile on your desk somewhere of the traditional way of doing it, of a pile of I've got to pay those bills one day. So yeah, they'll sat there until they're ready. But it just means then things like your cash flow forecasting is going to be more accurate and items like that. So I really, really like it. I think encouraging a new workflow is the right thing to go. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing around with it. And fingers crossed there'll be a few kind of updates coming forward. But yeah, positive all around, I think.
Definitely. Yeah, it's the right direction to be going in. And if we can get our clients into good habits, or if QuickBooks encourages our clients into good habits before they even come to us as clients, because they're using the QuickBooks tool and QuickBooks is saying this is the way to do it, then that's got to be a positive thing to help on the education journey.
Exactly right. Just so you know, Vicky, we'll come to your question towards the end of the day, end of the webinar, I should say, or podcast. Yeah, so two other updates. The sales areas had a kind of similar sort of update. It's had a bit of a lick of paint, a different UI, more features in there in terms of being able to organize your sales invoice area. No functionality, unfortunately. It's just more of a prettier UI and kind of more functionality or opportunity to filter the actions a little bit needed. So what I'm hoping for is that means there's functionality on its way. The reason I say that, if you look over at the American QuickBooks, there are a few kind of extra features they have there, which is very similar to this UI here. So hopefully it's kind of a point in that direction, which is cool to see. And speaking of UI, there's a few reporting items in there. So if you were to go to the invoice list on your QuickBooks, then you may find that it's now got a whole new UI. I say whole new, it's actually the same UI that we had over on QuickBooks Advanced. So they're kind of stealing that that general look and that general feel and bring it over. From what we can tell and what we've been told, this is something that they want to start expanding to the whole of the reporting list. So, giving us an option to see it. We do have an option to switch to classic view. So it looks like you kind of get the best of both worlds, where you get this new view and the classic view as well. Ultimately, from what I can tell, it is a much more user-friendly view for anyone who's brand new to reports. You don't have to worry about this whole save customization. You literally just save the report there, and then it will save it for you. But we are losing functionality, unfortunately. So there is no, at this point in time, we can't schedule reports or anything like that. So fingers crossed, that's just a bug that will get fixed at some point. But yeah, it's a nicer view. It makes me feel a lot more of a pivot table kind of view. Giving us an opportunity to be able to drill down a little bit deeper. We don't currently have the option to export as PDF, which is odd, but again, that might just be a bug that will get fixed later. But also, when we do export it as an Excel or bring it from there, we seem to get more functionality. So yeah, it's interesting view. I think it's softly start to it and see how people are bringing it. Have you played around much with it on Advanced, the reporting side of things? Is it something
No, not a huge amount. I mean, anything that simplifies the looks and stuff is great, but losing that functionality of scheduling reports is quite a major one for us. We don't want to lose that, because that's how we save a lot of time and hassle whilst being seen as proactive and informative to our clients, is by having creditors and debitors reports sending out every Friday nice and automatically. So they need to get that functionality back ASAP.
Yeah, exactly right. I haven't tested yet, but I assume if we switch to classic view, maybe we get it back there. So yeah, fingers crossed on that one. But yeah, it's interesting way of doing it. I know when it first went live, people got very excited because some of the advanced features did appear. So with the idea to put it to a pivot table and have the chart view and all that sort of stuff was actually there. But I think that was an accident, because that's all disappeared now. So
someone turned on the wrong switches.
Exactly right. So yeah, so pretty cool updates and ones. Normally we would cover this in QuickBooks Labs, but as I said, there's going to be quite a few updates coming. So if you have, if you've got any kind of comments in below, like Paul has here, it's the opportunity there to bring this into recurring into their onboarding sessions. I think that's a definitely good point. And how you can actually do the recurring links or recurring bills, etc., more prominently as well, which is a good thing to see. So yeah, excited for that one. Moving on then. So you went to a bit of a QuickBooks event, didn't you, on Tuesday, was it? Was it Tuesday, Wednesday? Thursday. And you also went to the Yorkshire Accountancy Awards as well, didn't you? Did they provide Yorkshire tea by any chance?
No.
Misstep there, wasn't it? Misstep on that one. So yeah, do you want to give a breakdown first of all of what was announced at the QuickBooks one, and then let us know how the awards were?
The main focus was really on the event was all about reminding firms about all the tools and stuff that's in QuickBooks, because I think we're all very good at going, yeah, we've got QuickBooks, we've got Xero, we've got Sage, but how much of the products and features and tools do you actually utilize in your practice? And the answer is most people don't. So like QuickBooks has got working papers, it's had it for 2 years. But how many people actually use it? QuickBooks has got bookkeeping reviews. It's been there for 2 years, but how many people actually use it? QuickBooks has got cash flow. It's been there for 2 years, but how many people actually use it? So it was really a reminder on that. But JV, the UK product lead, was in attendance. So Jonathan Valentine, and he took us through the Pro Tax solution that's going to be formally announced and launched in at QuickBooks Connect next week. However, it's no secret they've been demoing it for the last few months in various audiences. And you know what? It looks really smart for your FSR 105s. You know, it's going to be a great solution. It looks really smart. It's had a lot of work done it since when Aaron and I first looked at it over a year ago now. So that's coming, which is going to be great for your smaller firms that are dealing with small businesses and they just want one solution and one place to do your bookkeeping, your reporting, your working papers, and your accounts and tax filing. That's all going to be in there. That's going to be great. But the bit that actually was more interesting to me was an advancement they're putting into their cash flow tool. So they're looking at more how AI can power the cash flow better and help you predict things better. So the first little trial of this that they're going to be doing is they're going to be using AI to review VAT returns and to spot the patterns, so it can then try and forecast in the cash flow tool and predict what the next VAT bills are going to be. Now, it's only going to be as powerful as AI can make it. So, for example, I've got a client who's normally £2,500 a quarter VAT bill. Last quarter, he had a 10 grand VAT bill. So AI is never going to go, by the way, this one's going to be different. Like, it's going to go, well, we expect it to be about 2.5 grand, so we'll put that into the cash flow for you. If you know better, adjust it. But yeah, I mean, that's just the first kind of trial of this concept, and then they're going to be rolling it out potentially towards other things like PAYE, NI, etc., corporation tax and stuff, so you can get a better, more accurate and reliable cash flow from the cash flow tool in QuickBooks, which will be, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Cash flow has always been a real difficult service to sell to clients. They've really struggled to see a value in it. But then, and it's also been very time consuming from our point of view to get it all there. So anything that saves us time, which means we can potentially charge a little less to get that important information to our client so they see better value in the investment, then that's a bonus in my mind.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those features that needs to be put in there for people to use it more. I remember when cash flow first got announced, and remember, you know, we should be really grateful that the feature got announced when it did. Well, got pushed forward, didn't it? It was supposed to be one of those ones where they'll kind of set on it for a while and they were going to announce it, but because of COVID and because of all the issues that small businesses were facing, it was pushed forward. And it was a great tool during that time. Like, I'll always stand by the fact that, you know, it saved a few of our clients, no matter what, you know, no other way of looking at it. You know, it gave us an opportunity to really look into the future and how that was going to approach it and how they were going to save their business going forward. So, but it was, the biggest criticism was the fact it wasn't tracking VAT, it wasn't tracking those sort of things, which your more, you know, feature-rich cash flow forecasting tools were doing every time, and that's what people kind of used to, weren't they, when they were talking about cash flow and everything else. And I think what that ended up being was that there was a lot of practices and people who were using it who just discounted it because of that. Like, oh well, doesn't do VAT, so let's not bother about it, let's not worry about it. And I think that was a shame, because, you know, it's like with anything, what normally happens with these sort of solutions is this whole minimal viable product. So QuickBooks will release a solution, and the more people who use it, the more eyes on it, the more feedback they get, the quicker it gets development time, and it gets better. But when it gets released and not as many people use it, then it takes longer for it to actually get back into kind of get into the state that you kind of want from it. So it is a shame, isn't it, when a great solution gets released, but because it's kind of maybe missing one or two crucial features, then it doesn't get the love that it needs. So yeah, I can't wait to kind of see this kind of start to implement and bring it in, because I hope, for me, is that more people then start using it, therefore we're going to get more features later down the line. And that's where it's the exciting, because like you said, the beauty of this one is that there is minimal kind of setup time. There's no having to jump into another solution, make sure it's connected, maybe having to put some details in so that it can understand it more. It is just built directly within the product. So, you literally click on the area and it's going to start predicting for you. Now, maybe right, maybe wrong, but at least, it's making it simplified for you to do that. And going forward, then it's just our job as the users of the product to kind of state what's working and what's not, so that hopefully then we can get it more accurate going forward. So yeah, excited for it. I think it's one of those things that I really can see, if done right, I really can see this is going to be a great enhancement to it. And AI is the right way to do it, isn't it? Like, let's start using that. We've all seen how powerful it can be, so let's start pushing that and going forward. And I think that's going to be a great tool to go forward.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm interested also to see how they use AI in things like reporting and explanations of various statistics in the reports and stuff as well. I can't imagine they're not looking at that. I certainly hope they are. So yeah, let's see what comes out of AI in QuickBooks. I can imagine it being quite a powerful tool, based on the fact that AI is only as powerful as the data it's fed. So the fact that QuickBooks has got like 100 million businesses across the world, so they've got all those data points. In theory, that is a lot of data to feed into an AI tool to then give you some pretty clever explanations or insights or recommendations, basically.
Yeah. And like you said there, like, the idea that your client can go from 2,000, 10,000, whatever the extreme is going to be. Well, QuickBooks should also have that information. So, for this to really fly, they should know that there's additional sales invoices coming through, and they should know that there's, maybe a lack of input tax or input VAT in that particular period. So you would have thought it's going to be the best, done right. This will be the most accurate kind of, cash flow forecasting tool, because it's going to have access to all of the data, not just the bits that we allow or the bits that we keep up to date, sort of thing, is it? So
yeah,
I think that's where, for me, the excitement comes through, because it is, even in its simplest form as it is now, it is clever enough to predict certain things. It's looking at certain aspects of it. So yeah, it's definitely got a good starting point, a good basis point. And like you said, we've got that many different data points to look at and that many different businesses to kind of delve into and everything else. We should be onto quite a exciting proposition for that one. And that's selling us the dream that we've always wanted to provide for our clients, the opportunity to give them a more accurate tax estimate in real time, not just it could probably feel like it's going to be this or it's going to feel like that. It's actually, let's actually give them those opportunities. And you can see later down the line a really powerful dashboard that's going to help clients keep on top of that, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we've already got that. Yes, the cash flow tool, if it predicts roughly what the VAT is going to be in 3 months' time, that's great.
Yeah.
But actually, in QuickBooks, we can always just go, and so can our clients. They can always log into the VAT tab and see what their actual VAT bill is sat at as of right now, assuming your bookkeeping's up to date. I had an onboarding meeting with a client last week, and we went through some of the key headaches that he's got in his business, and he's like, the old accountant would tell me on the night of the 6th, are you sat down? Here's your VAT bill. And I'm like,
yeah,
cool. That's because they're not using a cloud accounting solution like they should be. I said, right, here's your login details. We went through the basics, like put your logo here, put your address here. If you want to put your bank details on your invoice, put them here. But then we went, right, that headache of yours about your VAT. Yeah. Click on taxes. Okay. Click on VAT. Okay. I said, that number there, that is the amount that you're going to have to pay to HMRC if we were to file your return today. So make sure you've always got that in the bank. Oh, wow. Oh, that's incredible. That's so helpful. And it's just that visibility, which not all accounting softwares will provide you, because some softwares will only let you see it if you're the authorized MTD agent.
Yeah.
Naming no names over there in the blue corner.
Yeah. Ends with an O. So yeah, I think you're right. I think, like, like showing those little features and kind of giving that enhancement to clients is what it's all about. It's what makes them feel well, I don't know if we'll have time today, but we've always got a topic that we want to bring about is business advisory, and something as simple as showing them the right solution for their business is where business advisory starts, isn't it? And like you've just said there, you've moved them from whatever headache they were having before, whatever their problem is, and just something as simple as moving them to the right software, you've solved their issue for them. And the beauty of it is with cloud accounting is those updates. We've just gone through a load of updates just then, happened overnight, and that's going to affect quite a substantial part of our client base, because it's going to give them a new workflow that's going to be better for them. And keeping on top of those updates and everything is what it's all about. It keeps clients sticky, and it makes them feel like they're with the right accountant, because they get it, don't they? They get they can see that the accountant's helping them solve headaches, like you've just shown there.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really powerful to have, and I think that's what people get wrong is they think business advisory, oh my God, it's such a big thing. It's like, well, no, actually, me giving them the right software and telling them this is where you go and look for your VAT, that's business advisory.
Exactly.
Like me turning around to a client saying, like, one client's doing this, you could replicate that here. It's not a competitive thing. It's just a how to reduce energy type thing. Like, one client turned off all their coffee machines overnight. That saved them a fortune. So every time I go to a hospitality venue and to talk to them as a client, I go, do you turn your coffee machines off at night? No. Well, that's going to save you a fortune. Like, that's business advisory. It doesn't need to be complex, technical, etc. It's just taking that knowledge and experience we have of our own firm or of our clients and sharing it.
Exactly. So how were the just kind of moving on, how was the Yorkshire Accountancy Awards? Could talk us through the Spangle event that you went to. I saw you had some nice a nice bow tie on and a nice some nice cufflinks that were branded well.
I did. I attended with my QuickBooks green bow tie and my QuickBooks cufflinks that were very smart, I must say. So yeah, it was a really good event. Really, obviously first awards evening of the year, really. I've always been envious of the Yorkshire area accountants having such an amazing event that they can enter and no one else can because it's local. What I didn't realise and I'm now aware of is that as long as you've got a branch in Yorkshire somewhere, you can enter. So like KPMG, Deloitte, they were entered and won a few awards. So
yeah, because they're historically Yorkshire, aren't they? KPMG.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah, it was a good event. Some of the big boys won awards, which meant the small guys didn't get a look in. Now, don't get me wrong, some of those awards were designed for the bigger companies, but they also picked up awards in areas like, so we were up against Assets for Brand of the Year. Now, myself or Assets did not win, but I just sat there like, that's a real tough category for a small firm like ours to enter. And then to find out you're up against Assets, who have got offices all over the UK and have probably got their own marketing team and stuff like that. You kind of think, well, you'd expect them to be better than us for branding. They've got the resources, they've got the investment. So yeah, but again, it was, whilst there was some forethoughts of diversity awards, etc. There was nothing. There's no software awards, and there was nothing in reflection of people or things giving to good PR to the industry. So there's no awards for podcasts or events or anything like that. And I'm just sat there thinking, well, it's a missed trick. Like, there's some amazing people on social media at the moment promoting the industry. And we want to encourage more people to do that. And if there's an award for social influencer or whatever terminology you want to use to make it a less cringeworthy thing, then it would be good to see. Yorkshire Accountancy didn't have anything. We've seen Accounting Excellence Awards haven't got anything. Zero awards have just been like the shortlist came out last week. There's nothing in there about promoting the industry and improving the industry's image and reputation. I think it's a missed category. I think it should really be in every award.
Yeah, because it's one of those things, isn't it? Like most of these awards you get shortlisted for, and it's kind of great to see some of them. Like you've already kind of mentioned there, you a lot of the big boys will just get get the announcements each and every year anyway, just regardless. They probably don't even need to do anything, they just get put on the list anyway. So sometimes those shortlists are kind of, it's a muted event, but if you had a shortlist for things like that of people actually actively trying to change and everything else, then you would imagine that each one of those shortlists, regardless of who wins, but whoever's on that shortlist will get at least some sort of boost in their reach. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's giving that opportunity, because there'll be people in that room who've never even considered a podcast or a webinar or whatever it's going to be as a way to kind of enhance their business or enhance their knowledge and everything else. So yeah, it'll be good to see more of those sort of get represented there, wouldn't it? Because if anything, it will just increase the reach for the people who are trying to get to more ears as they can.
Yeah, it's just recognition of that work that everyone's putting in. There's so many good podcasts out there at the moment, and there's some terrible ones as well. But
are we one of those terrible ones?
But like even some of the ones that I don't feel are relevant to me, it's like we were talking about the 2020 conference. Like those podcasts are probably relevant to an audience somewhere.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's just about finding the right product and media for your particular tastes, as it were. But yeah, some kind of recognition and support to improve upon those would be fantastic. So yeah, but yeah, so yeah, no, it was a really good event, very enjoyable, well run. So yeah, I think the thing I've walked away is I've never entered myself for any awards or my firm. I've always gone on if clients like us enough, they'll nominate us theory, and that doesn't work. But what I have realised is actually there's a whole batch of awards in categories that I could have entered us for in hindsight. Same with our Accounting Excellency Awards. So I'm just going to have to dust off my pen and paper and start coming up with some nominations, I think, and just put myself forwards.
Yeah, it was a harsh reality check, wasn't it, when you realise that it's not, you don't get noticed for these things most of the time. It is a case of putting your, getting those applications in at the right time and following all of those sort of aspects of it, and how your application looks and everything else, which kind of mostly determines if you're going to get at least into that shortlist, isn't it? So yeah, it's a harsh reality, but hey, you've got to play the game, haven't you? That's how it is.
Yep, exactly. So yeah,
awesome. So I suppose we best not leave the audience hanging. We've got quite a few questions coming in. So I thought the last 10 minutes, we'll just do a quick fire Q&A / just answering some of the comments that have come in through. So Andy is actually properly around. It says, all software awards have been scrapped since Client Engager went live. How do we manage to get on the platform to showcase our product? And that's exactly it, isn't it? I think there is definitely some merit in some of the awards kind of scaling back on software, wasn't there? Because there was getting to a point where it was very much a who's got the bigger pockets and who's going to pay for the most tables that are going to get the most coverage and opportunity to win and everything else. So they kind of went too far in some aspects of it. But Andy's absolutely right. Like for things like Client Engager and for all the other new kind of ones to the market, that's where the benefit and the power came from, wasn't it? Because if you get win an award or again on the shortlist for something and people are going to get eyeballs on that, then that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, like if you look at Cresco, they suddenly became finalists for stuff and things started moving for them. Now, it's a huge recognition of credibility for people like Client Engager, Armalytics, Zama Technology, Cresco. For them to get even to be finalists, it's a huge level of recognition and credibility to get into places that perhaps they wouldn't have got eyes on before that nomination went through.
Yeah, exactly. So let's hope that they start bringing those back. And Yeah, again, you can understand why they pull back on it a little bit, but I think they've gone way too far, haven't they, by just canning it completely. Sarah Hunt says the following: "That's such a good idea. Awards people promoting the industry." Exactly. Yeah, and I think there's got to be an opportunity out there for that to get the recognition it deserves. You know, I mean, at the moment, the closest you've got is your Curly Whirly LinkedIn awards at the moment, haven't you? You got opportunity to get your Curly Whirly. So, how you doing on that anyway? You going up the ladder or down the ladder? How's it going?
Always on an upwards trajectory. It's just how steep that trajectory is a different matter.
Good to see. Good. Any close to that Curly Whirly, or is it out of reach?
Oh, completely out of reach.
If only. If only. But yeah, great point there, Sarah. Paul says the following: "So many accountants and prospective clients from them I have spoken to just seem to use Xero and QuickBooks for internal use only, and that's a massive bugbear, isn't it? Especially with, I assume Xero can do the same, but at very least you can give a client read-only access if you're that kind of worried about what's going to happen, or what what issues they could make, or damage they could do to their file, or etc. etc. But no, I think it's a massive shame when it's just used for internal use. Like the amount of benefits a client can get and see from it just by having it on their mobile phone in some circumstances is huge, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the problem is though the old guard of the industry, shall we say, are very that it's a whole new concept of giving clients visibility of the data we're processing and controlling, and it's very knowledge is power, and I personally don't think that is the case. You know, that knowledge and data belongs to the client. They should have visibility and oversight of it at all times, whether they use it to hold us accountable to delivering the service at the frequency we told them we would, or for them to be able to grow and develop their business based on solid foundations of facts and figures. Like, it should be the client's visibility if that's what they want.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. And I think as well, like it's a tough one, isn't it? It's like, do you want to kind of give absolutely everything away at all points and everything else, and risk shooting yourself in the foot? But sometimes that's motivation, isn't it? Like, we know that because our clients can jump into their file at any point, and if we've told them that we're gonna, I don't know, do bookkeeping by a certain point and we haven't done that, then we got to be held accountable, because it's so easy for a client to see and have that. So yeah, it completely changes your kind of mindset, doesn't it? You have to remind me on this one, if you can think of this, Sharon. I've had issues with the client and I get different views of that. I think I get an update as I'm VAT registered. He doesn't. So Kirsty St. John talking about, what point were we here? Was this about the VAT?
This was about the VAT balance due, total amount due. So when you're on the VAT screen in QuickBooks, it tells you what the VAT balance due at that point in time is for your next VAT return.
Why would the client get that though? I've never come across that one before.
Yeah, I've never seen clients get different figures to myself.
Yeah, but definitely if you can get like a screenshot or anything of that one going forward or something, maybe that's one we can pass back to themselves as feedback. But I've definitely not come across that, and I wonder what that one's going to be, because I suppose just thinking out loud on that one of the areas I know QuickBooks are looking into, because I was privy to kind of look at some of the back end of it, is that they are looking to improve the VAT area, because if you think about it, compared to especially competitors, it's a little bit lacking in places. It doesn't give us as much information as some of the others can do. So I know we're having a different look going forward. So yeah, hopefully whatever your issue is, then with the new dashboard or potential new dashboard, then that could be fixed. So fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah.
Then we've got I love AI. It helps a lot with the content, but always worth checking. Yeah, how many times have we seen just copy and paste exercises happening at the moment?
Yep.
So yeah, you're absolutely right there. And also, it's not just worth checking, but it's adding your own flair to it, isn't it? Like, it's these tools are great at giving you that inspiration, but it's great also to have that what do you call it? One more comment before I go into a question. Kirsty again says there will probably be software awards at ICB Lucas, but not until November. They vote by members, ICB, Institute of Certified Bookkeepers. Yeah, I've heard some
good things.
more control of that, don't they? And they get the opportunity to bring them in. So yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, there's no bribery and corruption in those ones.
Yeah, exactly right. Go from there. And then we did have a question through the day, so we'll just probably finish off on the question. So Vicky asked the following: Hi guys, when you get to corporation tax, someone said that the 50k threshold doesn't apply to investment companies. We have an SPV where we hold properties and a trading company manages those personally held properties. How would the threshold work? Well, Vicky, this is one of the ones where we're still waiting for proper clarification. But if we go back to how it used to be, then when it comes to your business there, it's not going to be classed as a normal close company. So close company being a company that is owned by very few members, so not trading on the stock exchange or anything like that. And what your company there will be classed as what's called a close investment company. And prior to kind of these new changes that come in, so for anyone who not realising, we're having a big change in the world of corporation tax coming up, and a abolishment of the potential abolishment of the 20% corporation tax rate. But with close investment companies, that's one of the areas where you lose that whole benefit of having those smaller thresholds and everything else. So if that company, and it probably is going to be classed as a small investment company, then that is one of the downsides then of these new changes that come in. We're not going to be able to use small business reliefs and have those opportunities. And our gut feeling is it means you're not going to have the threshold at all, and it's going to be directly in that 25%. How that affects the rest of the group, though, that's kind of some of the questions and stuff we're still waiting for proper answers for. Because if you've got another member of the group, does that mean their threshold has also been reduced? There's a whole other amount of questions. But if it's going to follow suit to what it used to follow suit, then a close investment company, unfortunately, doesn't get all the fanciness that comes through. So yeah, you're not going to get to have the lower thresholds and lower everything else, which is one of the reasons why we didn't get to the topic, but one of the reasons why the whole rise in corporation tax, highly likely, despite rebellion building behind it, was one of the topics we were going to bring in today. It's one of the reasons we were really hopeful that there was going to be some sort of reversal of the 25%, because it's not coming at the right time in a lot of people's opinion. And there are items like this, like close investment companies, where it really does affect. And as accountants, we've been pushing for people to put their investment companies in separate entities, and we've been trying to push that for best practices and everything else. And it could be a case where it's going to end up hurting some clients down the line. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, that's the way we are at this point in time.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that one, Johann?
No, we'll just watch and see over the next couple of weeks what happens in the budget. There's, as you say, there's a growing rebellion within the backbenches of the Conservative Party to keep the corp tax low. They've just announced a £5 billion surplus in January of extra money coming in that they weren't expecting. Maybe that can help offset some of the corp tax increase they're looking at. I don't know.
Or they'll spend HS2.
Yeah, let's wait and see.
Yeah, one of the two. Yeah, it's one of those ones, isn't it? Yeah. I think the frustrating thing is that we still don't have all the answers, even though it's coming out in April. And
that's it. We don't have the guidelines.
Yeah, exactly. We can only assume it's going to follow suit to what it did. What was it now? 7 years ago, 8 years ago, when it was, when we used to have a marginal rate. So we can assume it's the same, and that's the best we can do for now until we know for certain. So yeah, unfortunately, in your case, it's a close investment company. So yeah, that's it's going to be a shame going forward. I think that is it. I think we have managed to not even go through all of the the topics we wanted to cover, but that's not a bad thing. It's been great to see so many people asking questions in the comment section below, so please do, going forward, if you would like to talk to us live, then please do look at us at our normal time, Monday at 8:30 a.m. I do think the next handful of ones are going to be at different times, so do keep an eye on socials, keep an eye on when they're going to be live. We've got, obviously, next week we're going to be live in person at or just after the QuickBooks event. So yeah, we'll be looking at a Wednesday for that one. And I've got a feeling, with you being away, aren't you, Johann, for the next couple of weeks, we may be moving the time frames around to kind of incorporate a few guests that we've got ideas to bring in. So yeah, keep an eye on socials for what time we're going to go live. But normally 8:30 on a Monday morning is where we're live. And it's great to see so many people asking the questions there. Remember, if you do have a question and a burning question, then I'm just about to drop in the question link for you, so you can put it in there, so we can bring it into next week's show if that's the case. Then, Johann, you got anything you want to talk about, promote, push in the next week?
No, I have got a week of just various things. I am on the Zama product update webinar tomorrow for Zama AML, and I'm pleased to announce that we are now beta testing the client engager link directly into Zama AML, and it's going really well so far. So that will be coming out live to our users in the next 7 to 10 days. So exciting times. It's been a highly anticipated update, and the tech team have developed it in such a fantastic way that it's going to make the whole AML process a lot slicker, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having a play with that. I've heard best in class, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
I wouldn't like to say, but I think it is.
Biased in any possible way there. But yeah, no, I'm definitely excited to see that. For myself, we have a webinar through QuickBooks on Wednesday at 11, I think it is, for sole traders. Quite excited for that one. It's been a little baby project of mine that I've been able to come to fruition. So it'll be great to see that one going live. Prepping for QuickBooks Connect continues. So there's quite a lot of moving parts involved in trying to get a podcast live from an event. So we'll see how that goes. I suppose we best make sure we're ready for the actual breakout sessions as well, aren't we, Jan? I suppose that's going to be on our agenda for next week as well. So yeah, good times had by all. As I said, next week, keep an eye out on the socials to let us know when we're going to go live. Looking forward to being in person, talking over as I said, a cob, not a roll. So that'll be good to talk about and get moving. But with that, it is a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
Have a good one, everyone. Week, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.